Hey, hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Theories and Thoughts podcast with your hostess Anya and
Fancy, who is struggling with her phone right now.
girl. Mine didn't even bring it up. Literally, it did not bring it up. So we try
Well,
to
you
do
don't notice too, it wasn't in the top of my notifications. It was further down in my notifications. Like it was some other stuff on top, and then I had to find it.
I don't even get it in my notifications. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I do and don't realize I do. Anywho, how y'all doing out there? um, how's your day, fans? What you got going on?
My day has been good. I was accepted into the Women in PR mentoring circle. So I have I just ended up leaving from. So I'm gonna have to leave class every Tuesday night early to make certain I can make the podcast. But I'm excited about just learning with them and seeing how things go.
That's dope. Mr. Curtis, what you mean I'm trying to call? You trying to call who? Today hasn't been the best day, but is a beautiful day. I just had a lot of things going on today. And when I'm working, when stuff don't go right in work, you know, it's like a bunch of different things and then some personal stuff add into that. My whole day just be like, ugh. So
Yeah.
I'm in my Genesis 32 shirt. An old friend of mine, she's a poet, and this is her shirt, and on the back of it says, because if it's up to me, he's gonna have to wrestle me something else and change my name. Hey D.
Great.
So it's basically when God changed his name. I can't even think of who it is. I'm about to look it up just because I can't think of who it is. Who it
Uh,
is.
Mr. Curtis said he was just kidding. I was wondering who you were trying to call too.
I'm like, oh, when he changed Jacob's name, I want to say in the Bible. That's what that's from. He's gonna have to wrestle me, bless me, and change my name. What that's what it says in the back here. But okay, Mr. Curtis, because I was like, what is going on? Um, so hey, he says Tyrone. Oh, Tyrone, okay. Okay, Erica Badu knew. Now, so Cornel West decided that he would no longer work at Harvard. I wonder if he's gonna go to Howard too, like Nicole did. We didn't get to Nicole's story last week, or did we? I don't think we talked about Nicole. Like Nicole, but Fancy, what's the gist of the resignation letter?
So basically, he said quite a few things. Like he accepted position even though he wasn't offered any tenure. Now I'm not familiar with how all of that works, but I know a lot of people were saying that you do not have Cornel West at your university and you don't allow him tenure, as well as the fact that his books are taught in plenty of classrooms and other academic institutions. So why wouldn't they have offered him that? Also, it seems like he was saying that a lot of because of him being black, like they tried to make all his classes kind of like African American studies, even when it was things like let me pull my notes back up. I'm sorry. Even when it was things like the extensionalism, Afro-American religious studies, and American democracy and the conduct of life. Like they wanted to put all of that, group that under one thing. I don't know if maybe that was like discouraging people from taking the classes or something. Like you may not want to take African studies if you weren't black, or African,
Right.
or whatever. But also I think the breaking point was that his mother passed this year, and he was saying how they didn't acknowledge it, but they acknowledge everything else in the newsletter. And basically he was just like, goodbye, good riddance. And he's just thankful to be moving on, but he didn't say what he intends to do next. But I think this was what is it, his alma mater, maybe. Like maybe he attended school there, or he had been teaching there before, because he was saying that he thought he wanted to come back and just, end his teaching career with them, but that just they just didn't treat him right. So I saw I'm gonna call him an activist, but I forgot if he is he had been something with the state. West Bellamy from I think it's from Virginia. He's from Virginia. We featured him before in the magazine, and he was just telling Mr. West that he could come over and teach at the school where he's at. And I thought that was kind of cool, like because he has that power to be able to invite him, and then the fact that he already has a report with him from the way he wrote about it. So yeah, but I just thought that was interesting news because he has been hailed as like one of the most thought leaders within the Black community in our time. So yeah,
I agree. He is definitely a thought leader in the Black community, someone that is lifted high in regards, and for you not to treat him like that. I'm finding that a lot of white schools do that. I forgot what the name of them, what they call them, but
Ivy League, is that what you're looking for?
Ivy League, not Ivy League. It's something.
Oh, just wondering.
No, it's not Ivy League. It's something else. It's another name. But people definitely are like, leaving those like Nicole did. She left and then she went to Howard. It would be good to have him go to a Black college and have those Black students, get that information. So Allison flexed to cover child care costs for athletes in Tokyo Olympics. The guy, how you say it on Facey? I'm sorry.
The Griot.
The Griot reads, the mother has teamed up with her primary sponsor at Athleta.
I think it's
Athleta and the Women's Sports Foundation, WSF, to launch the Power of She Fund. The Power of She Fund child care grants. The program will commit $200,000 to child care costs for 9 mom athletes competing and participating in the 2021 Olympics in in Tokyo, as reported by Fast Company. So I think that is really dope. Gwendolyn Berry, Meryl Zaganis, Natasha Hastings, Alphine. I can't say her last name. It's just a host of women. They show a host of women who are going to be getting $10,000 and money to help towards child care. I think this is super dope because when you go to the Olympics, you don't get paid for that. All that is from sponsors and different things. And as a woman, it's almost like people try to discourage you. Oh, you got a kid, or your kid can't go with you, and different things. So this is really dope that she's teamed up with them to do this. To me, this make moms want to compete more, because where some of them may not want to compete because, hey, what's gonna happen to my child, and my child can't come with me. Because I think that's why she didn't say it, but why Serena wasn't going or something. It was due to something about her daughter couldn't come or something like that. I think I read. I could be wrong. So as a woman, it's hard when it comes to us being pregnant, because who was that? Who was the athlete? And I can look it up real quick. She was dropped by
I don't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
Because
she started her own True Brand, did she?
Yeah. And I think that's dope. I said I was going to look into her brand. I don't wear tennis shoes, but I have to, I wear them every so often. So I said I wanted to go ahead and get a pair of her shoes. Why not?
Yeah.
Because as a woman, it's so hard, even in leadership positions in businesses. People are so quick to say, well, she might go on maternity leave. She got to do this, if a child is sick, because mothers are usually the primary caretaker, but men are also they're caretakers as well. So your thoughts?
I think it's really great. I know how expensive childcare can be, especially after 3 kids. But I just wanted to know that that Allison, that is her name, right? Allison?
Uh-huh.
She was just saying that she was inspired by her own situation, but she kept saying how grateful she was that Athleta worked with her. And she was like, after she first had her daughter, how she couldn't imagine bringing her daughter into a room, like a shared room with someone, like, because sometimes they have to share rooms, like, you know, she was like, she couldn't imagine having her daughter in there with the roommate, and the roommate trying to get into the mindset too. And, you know, she was like, especially with all the stuff that she was experiencing as a new mom and training. So it is good that that this company is doing this for her, and I think it's kind of setting the tone. It's going to kind of raise the expectations of more companies as well, you know, for the athletes to start making more demands that are in their favor. And she said they started out from the beginning working with her, so that's really good.
And Allison was the one who got dropped by Nike.
Oh, she was? Okay.
Yeah, she did a piece, an opinion piece for the New York Times, and she said if she couldn't get maternity protections, who can? And that was back in 2019, sorry.
I'm about to say 2010.
2019. That brings up another thing that some companies are starting to allow husbands to get that paternity leave, because it's hard. I mean, I don't have my own kids, but it's hard especially when you first have a kid. And for her, she was one of their top people, branded people. And for you to just drop her because she got pregnant.
She's like the second most decorated athlete. Olympian, I guess you'd say, because I read that somewhere, but like the second most decorated. Right. I can't remember who. It was a man that she's behind, but it's crazy that they would do that. But it shows how people can be in business, though.
But they kept Sha'Carri. Why?
Because they learned a lesson.
And that could be it. That could very well be it. That they learned a lesson from that. And good that they did, because people can change. I'm one of those people that feel like people can change. You know, yeah, you may have, I even posted that on my page the other day. You may have did something before and you learned your lesson that's incorrect, and now you speak out on it. People can change, and they can change from there, and companies can change, but people don't allow people to change, and they don't allow companies to change either.
Well,
you think?
I mean, I think it's kind of a changes within itself is always going to have some type of blowback or conflict. It's going to have some type of struggle associated with it. So, because it's an adaptation. So,
the other people to have to adapt to you being a different person. Definitely. I remember, who was that, Jay-Z? You think I worked this hard to stay the same? And I'm like, facts. Did you see that video of that woman in Victoria's Secret? That's everywhere.
I didn't watch it. I think I've seen it, but I didn't watch it. Is this the one who cried wolf or something?
She went to attack the lady, realized she was recording her, and then she started crying and act like she was the victim. And then the police came, and the police was telling the woman who was recording, you stay back. And the lady, she made a valid point. If the shoe was on the other foot and it was a white woman that was being attacked and harassed, because the woman literally was running after her. And I said, and me, myself, y'all, I'll tell you in a minute, I pray for somebody, but I won't lie. I just felt like I'd have let her hit me so I could pop her one good time. You had to see how she did. She kept running behind that woman, and that woman was just running. Like she was just like, do y'all see this? Do y'all see this? And
I heard that she's must have been claiming that she was having some type of it was something pertaining to her like her having a mental health breakdown or something. The video was a topic of a discussion of a Clubhouse room I was in earlier. So
yeah, I don't know if she said that she was having a mental, but guess what? She's a student. She's a teacher's aide where she is, and a lot of people are calling for her resignation, rather calling for the school to fire her, to release her. What do you think about that, real quick? We got a couple of minutes. What do you think about people losing their jobs for bad conduct outside of their jobs?
I wish more people lost their jobs for the bad conduct within them when we're talking about these fast food workers. But it's kind of a catch-22, because I actually read an article last year. I think it was like 3 people who had basically, council culture or reporting culture had ended up like causing them to lose their jobs, and they were like really struggling. And I'm trying to remember now, because I think one of them was a black girl, but one of them may have been a white person. I just say that to say, I think it's easier for a white person to recover from that sort of thing than it is for a black person, but at the same time, I do think it's the one way that we are able to make an impact, that we are able to get some type of justice sometimes. That might be the only way.
But I wouldn't want someone who don't like blacks around my black child either.
Yeah.
Problem and who reacts that terrible. What if you have a mental breakdown while you taking care of my child?
True.
We're gonna call it.
They said that she was actually fired. I don't know if that's, again, this is just all from in the group that I was in. They said that she was fired though.
I think that people should be respected, whether you like me or not. And in a business as well, as a business owner, my business is not that big, but if I had people working for me, I wouldn't want people who act out. I don't care how you act out, because you're a representation of me. Even for my full-time job, my page is private because I don't need them lurking. But some people don't put where they work on their page.
Yeah.
Because then you are a representation of where you're working, and they can pull the plug. And they talk about social media conduct with Bank of America. So just thought I'd ask your opinion on that while we had a little time. But
I think there's always should be checks and balances, and that's one way that we can actually, kind of check some people's behavior. So, but we do have our guest, so I can go ahead on and bring her in like a minute early. It's probably by the time I bring her in, it'll be about a second. So if my mouse will work, 1 second.
You guys. First off, I'm over here meditating. I'm like,
I thought you was meditating. I thought she meditating.
No, I always take a deep breath before coming to the people, and then I always come to the people as one with the Divine Father. How are you?
All right, how you doing, Denise?
I can't complain. Nice to see you, ladies.
Nice to have you. Thank you for joining us on Theories and Thoughts podcast. Please tell our audience about you.
Well, I'm Denise Carson, a purpose there. The same way people chase millions, I chase purpose, which is basically what is the intention and why was you created in the first place? As I was going through, I guess, my early years, I'm only 33, my early years of living, I found myself in a stuck stage, which is why I birthed the book Stranded Between Doubt and Faith, because my light was battling my shadow. And my shadow was negative thinking, the negative thoughts that hold you back from everything that you thought you couldn't do. So all these negative thoughts that I had to fight through that had results, I now teach people how to confront their shadow. So me being able to confront my own shadow birthed a book called Stranded Between Doubt and Faith. And that's why I'm an author and a speaker today, because I like to help people get back to the intention is why we was made. Chase purpose, not paper. And if you chase your purpose, you don't have to chase the paper because it will fall in place. So that's literally what I do. I started off in entertainment. I thought I was on earth to be a producer, but he used entertainment to birth my purpose. So it was the weirdest transition.
I tell people all the time, don't forsake that Lion's Den experience.
Oh no. It's a real experience. Please.
Do not forsake that. He will lead you into a lion's den and you will not be eaten alive, but there will be a purpose there.
Yes, you have to. You have to go through the dark times in order to appreciate the light. So as Shadow's job is to protect you. God did place you on earth at two sides. He placed you with light and shadow. If you're very careful, you'll move in your light, which is connected to the light source. But if you be controlled by your shadow, which is your negative thinking, it does have some results that may result in bad things and aka trauma. So I tell people your life can be in your hands if you transform your mind, transform your life. You literally can be happy in every area. You can be happy. That's the secret. You can be happy.
Does that
Hey, babe.
Well, I was going to ask, when you said that about the shadows, so is that because I know someone has told me before that I might need to do some shadow work. Is that related to the same thing? Because even when they said it, like I did typical shadow work, and I was still kind of, it was still kind of unclear to me. So
Okay.
can you explain what that is a little more?
Yes, ma'am. Your shadow is basically the negative side of your life, which basically every negative tension of your thought is the cause and effect. So you have 20,000 to 50,000 thoughts a day that goes through your brain. At least 40,000 of them thoughts are negative, aka shadow thoughts. Your shadow thoughts are birthed through traumas. So the first time you was hurt, the first time you felt pain, the first time you felt abandonment, the first time you felt unloved, aka my shadow was birthed when I went through the death of my grandmother. Because when my grandmother passed, she was my safety. So my shadow had all the right to take over me. It could tell me I'm a failure. It could tell me I'm unloved. It could tell me that you're not worth it. It could tell me that my mom don't, you ain't worth it because your mom don't love you. And all those negative thoughts is what shadow uses to control you. But God put in place the negative side of you to promote you. So when he placed Adam and Eve in the garden, you will also understand that he placed the serpent. What people don't tell you is that he placed your negative side to protect you. He didn't place your negative side to control you. But us as human beings, we become so timid and fear that we rather be controlled by our shadow, because shadow has some results, but yet it has safety. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a failure, okay, but if I do just enough not to fail, then I feel safe. But light is telling you to do over and beyond because you're going to succeed. But we don't trust our light yet because we've been through so much pain. If you already been through a death, it's hard to love people because you think that everybody is going to leave you. If you went through a hard heartbreak, it's very hard to love again because the person who hurt you, you gave them their all. Now you feel like you don't want to give it no more. But your light is telling you that you got to keep reciprocating your light because your shadow was being reciprocated so well in your life. If you are battling your shadow, I am basically telling people you can be happy. If you are not happy, you are controlled by that trauma. Whatever that little girl went through, that convinced her that she had to protect herself, that she had to guard her heart, that she had to put a brick wall over her heart, whatever death that person went through, that they had to walk through life not caring whether they die or live because the person they live for is no longer here. Life is trying to tell you again that if you move in your light, I promise you life and peace. But you got to trust me to have life and peace. But when you are moved in your shadow, aka me, all my life, I had some results that I kept saying this can't be the intention God had for me. So you have to understand He intended the bad times as much as He intended the good. So I no longer tell people you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. God walked through the valley of the shadow of death. You was always the light at the end of the tunnel. So what is your shadow? Your shadow is the thing that is holding you back. The first time that little girl got hurt, every time you try to prevent that feeling again and your shadow convinced you it's going to happen again, that's your shadow. Every time you want to say that this show is not going to talk to millions of people and you will never become the superstar and whatever you intended or why you created this podcast in the first place, that's your shadow. But your light has told you, if you obey me and you connect to my source, then maybe, just maybe, I would turn this podcast that was so small, the faith of a mustard seed, and I will blow it up. Because if your light run this podcast, it's going to be exalted. But if your shadow run this podcast, your shadow is running this podcast because you didn't feel good enough. I need you to know that you are enough.
Wow.
So first of all,
sorry.
I'm gonna get out my business.
Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it?
I'm sitting over here about to cry because I just been dealing with something, and it's relational. And what you said made so much sense because that trauma controls you, and you put up that wall, and you don't even realize that wall. You know that wall is up. And
Yes,
I was talking to my best friend about it, and she was like, "Arnya, you know, you don't realize you're doing this, but this is what you're doing to push people away." But in actuality, I'm like, I want it, come here. And, it takes a real friend to tell you and be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say, get out my business real quick.
Yeah, shadow keeps you in that place. Shadow keeps you in that place. You know what I'm saying? Shadow is, let me tell you, me knowing who shadow is I tell people I'm bipolar on purpose. Like, Me knowing who my shadow is and that negative thinking and whatever have controlled you in that thought, you now can talk to that thought and say, hey man, ain't nobody got time for this. Nobody, I don't even want to feel like that no more because
Right.
I know the feeling. I don't even go to places that break me no more. I know
Right.
how it feels to be broken. I don't even encourage relationships that feel like they're not gonna reciprocate me because I know how to give my all and not get nothing back. I don't
That-
even give shadow a chance to speak up because my life feels too good being lived. Like I'm not even giving Shadow a
Seriously.
chance. Like I gave you 30 years of my life, Shadow. You don't get no more. If you can get a second of a thought, but you don't get no control. You don't get no control.
Exactly. That's how I feel
No.
like, nah, you're not gonna get it, and working, walking in purpose. I choose joy. You
Yes.
said is I choose joy. And people are like, you are so joyous. I've had people tell me you don't go through stuff, and I'm like, I go through a lot, but I
Yeah.
choose joy. I'm intentional with that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Got a question?
It's okay. Send it. It's okay, my love.
You had a question, Fancy?
No, now that you've explained it, Denise, I definitely get what you're saying. And I better understand what they meant as well. And that was like almost 2 years ago, but it stayed with me because I kept wondering what it was that like what exactly did she mean? And I think I even tried asking out, and maybe she didn't understand that I didn't really understand shadow work, but now just the way you broke it down, that like I get it now. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
No worries. There's 3 steps to transformation. It's a lot to confront your shadow. That's why I walk people through the process. That's why the book is the first confrontation when you have to ask yourself some hard questions, some very hard questions. Even my show coming up called The Transformational Experience Confront Your Shadow on September 24th is literally an interpretation of light versus shadow. So you can hear how your thoughts sound in real time. Like shadow sounds like a real person. So I
Yeah.
tell people don't beat yourself up because you're just not recognizing it.
Right.
Like every day is a lesson to be learned, and time is external. We are only our age, but God is external. So He don't care when you get it. It's your job to get it. So now that you know who your shadow is, how do you confront it? There's three
Right.
steps to transformation. I tell people there's 3 steps to transformation. It's like a racer. Your first step is on your mark. So if you ever watch a racer get ready for a race, they have their head down in a crouch position. In this particular position, you'll see the racer have no choice but to trust the source that is going to give them the strength to run the race. That's what we have to do. We have to unlearn everything we taught ourselves after trauma was birthed and after shadow started to control us, and then rebirth the intention of why God placed us on earth in the first place. And I tell people you don't have to be spiritual to understand that you was created from somebody. You can say the universe, you can say Buddha, you can say whoever, but somebody created you before your mom and dad. And they
Right.
had an intention for your seed before you was placed in the womb. The womb is the place of protection. So before you was placed in the womb, there was an intention. So in order to get back to the intention of you, you have to unlearn the shadow work. So your first step is on your mark. Some people go to therapy. Some people do meditation. Let me tell you, I self-heal. Like it was the weirdest experience because, and I tell how did they say, how did you do it? I had to try as hard as I can to remember the first time I felt the emotion. So when I felt pain or when I felt hurt, I had to refill losing my grandmother again. And I had to go back to the grave mentally and realize she was never gone because people are only of this body of a time and they are spirits. So in order to reconnect with her again, I had to get out the fact that she was dead, you know what I'm saying? And reconnect to the fact that she is still a spirit. So I had to go back to that little girl mentally and I physically went back to the grave and let go of the thought that I'm a motherless child and let go of the thought that I don't have anybody to love me because it was a lie. And since Shadow convinced me of that, I had to tell Shadow, you are still loved. And the funny thing that happened at the grave is that I saw a light come and there was a dove that flew by. And I tell people, people are spirits, whether you want to believe it or not. It's just your choice to reconnect. So
Mhm.
now that I have felt the reconnection, and my grandmother told me that you good, homie, and the reason you ain't dead is because of me. Then you realize you're not crazy. So you have to go back to your moment to where shadow started in the first place. The little like I have a strong story. My grandmother raised me. My mom was in the streets on crack. So you convince yourself your mom loved crack more than you. So I had to go back to that little girl and tell the shadow, hey, no, your mom don't love crack. She was laced. Now I understand she was laced. I can have a different understanding in life. I don't have to live life like my mama don't love me. I can live life like, wow, let me not make the same mistake that she made, because I see the power of a drug. I see the power of a substance. So what was made me angry all my life is now my number one lesson. So once you unlearn everything Shadow convinced you, you realize Shadow thoughts was probably 75% illusions. So that's your first step on your mark. And that was something, that's some of my personal work. And if you when you come to the show and read the books, you'll get deeper in my story. But I do tell people my personal story so you can recognize how powerful Shadow is. Your second step on your mark, that's your first one, on your mark, get set. Now that you have unlearned everything, now you have to trust the source, which who intended and made you in the first place, aka my source is God. So now that I have learned everything that I did to survive, my thing is to trust the fact that I can live. And if you pay attention to the racer, when they put their head up, you never see the finish line. They are just running towards something until they hear the whistle blow. Mind you, they feel how long the duration is, but they know they need a strength from a higher power in order to get to the finish line. So when you're on your get set mark, you are now trusting the source to realign to the intention in discovering your purpose. When you discover your purpose, you are now steered. You have the secrets of the billionaires. You have the secrets of Oprah Winfrey. You have the secrets of Bill Gates. Everybody say, I had a calling on my life. Some might say I have a purpose. But the truth is they reconnected to the source. Some call it meditation, but you reconnect to the source and the plan that he ordained for you in the first place. Now you start to steer. So this is the point where you realize your destination doesn't change, your route does. You just have to give the source the driver's seat. So you stop driving and you move. That's the manifestation mode. Now you can just move because you have unlearned the fact that you have to work for something. I also tell people a very important note. You have dominion over a tree, which means that when he placed the tree, he placed fruit and money to provide for your purpose. So when he placed you on earth with a purpose, he placed the tree to provide for you. He didn't ask you to work for the tree. So you have to unlearn that you had to work for something he placed for your vision. If I put the vision, I'm going to make it plain. That's why I said faith without works is dead. Because if I gave you a vision, I just need you to have the faith to get there. I didn't tell you to work to get there. And what I tell you to work, it ain't really going to be work. It's going to be fun. Like, it's going to be happy. It's not really work because it's a vision, so faith, I tell you to have more faith than works, but your work is not work. So that's the thing. You have to unlearn that you had to work for something you had in your lap. You don't have to work for love. You are love. You don't have to work for money. Your purpose is a billionaire. Your father's a sugar daddy. Like, that's the secret. It's not really that deep. And on the third one, just to sum it up, on the third one is the go stage. On your mark, get set, go. When you are gone, this is your knowing stage. You can kind of never could look back. You know who Shadow is now, so you're not controlled by it. You know that you're going to still have some negative times. You know you're still going to have some weeping. But that's why I say, weeping may come in the night, but joy comes in the morning. That's why he told you if you live within your shadow, that lives to a life of death, but living in your light, living a life of peace. And I hate giving this example, but it's the best example of ordained to the Father, which is R. Kelly. He's still going to get his attention out of you, whether you want to continue to live by your shadow or not. While I put you on earth, I'm going to get what so I tell people it's impossible for such a heathen to make a gospel song. He's going to get what he wants out of your life. It's your choice to choose whether to live in light or dark. It's going to be rewards or it's going to be consequences. But it's literally your choice. But you are a light. Everybody in the world is a light. And you have an ordained life for you already. It's your job to reconnect to the source to live in it. And so use your 3 steps and go for it. But the first step on your mark is the hardest step to get through. It took me some years to get through on your mark. I kept going back.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, and it feels like stuff that I've dealt with. That's why I was like, you was just speaking to me. It was kind of like a reminder, like, better, what have you. Yeah. And I agree that on your mark, facing who is this thing, this person, or I always say, look in the mirror at yourself, at the truth of who you are. I've done therapy work. And, someone asked earlier in a group that I'm in on Facebook, they was like, what was your experience in therapy? I said, you have to be honest and real and genuine. Yeah. Like, cannot heal. You cannot do the work if you're not honest with yourself first. You can't
Yeah.
be honest with nobody else if you're not honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And so many times people they want to, well, you know, this, no, be honest, and then you could get over and get past those things. So I like how you say the three things and you related to a racer, because especially, you know, it's Olympics time and we all
Yeah.
get a track and field, and it's so many things, you know. Sports analogies are always the best analogies anyway. I used to run track in middle school and I did it a little bit in high school.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so it was like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I
Three steps
get
to
it.
transformation. On your mark, get set, go.
So
I'm on my third one. So I can walk people through the first and second by the grace of God.
so tell me this. So I don't know if you said it or not, but when did you decide that you was tired of being unhappy with the things that was going on? Was there like a significant situation that happened? Because for me, I just was like, I want to be like I want to be married. Now, what I'm gonna do? You know, what is these things that's stopping me from that, from getting to that happy? What was, you know? Do you have? Was it?
Yes, it was a relationship. I call my ex the catalyst, the master. I call it my ex a catalyst, who is the catalyst to my transformation, because you sure did mirror my shadow, you know. And after I recognize the actions, so after you get fed up, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, a relationship helped me get fed up, but life, I'm going through stuff in my career. I'm going through stuff with my family. I'm just angry hippo. I'm like, oh, this not me. So I'm not right. And I'm just not okay. I'm just not okay. I'm not motivated. I tell people, you're not lazy. You're just not motivated. I can lay around all day. I just can't care. So it was a point where I had to snatch myself out of myself. It was like, are you going to stay like this? It was literally, I'm at about 32, 31. You on hit after 30. You feel like you now you old now. Girl, you can't be doing stupid stuff. You ain't in your 20s no more.
Listen,
So I'm over here and I still want to do stupid stuff. But now that I'm so aligned with trying to change, and I work entertainment. So I tell people that God yanked me out of myself before I yanked me out of myself. My master teacher is very known to the world. And I worked her show as an assistant, all the way starting back in 2015. And she pointed me out and told me that I have power. She said to me, I got the power. So she started giving me books to read, started taking her classes of meditation. Now I'm learning all this spiritual stuff. And now that I'm going through my going through hell, now I'm mad because I got the secret to get out of hell. So I'm going to change now. I'm like, oh, you should have never let me know. So because church didn't do a good job with me because I feel like a sinner somewhere. So it's like for me to come back spiritual, I was a complete heathen out here. I was mad at God. You took my grandmother, God. So I just kind of like I feel that and I tell people when the student is ready, the teacher is presented. God knows when you want it, you just don't know what to do with it. I was in a stage that I wanted the transformation so bad. I wanted to quit the reputation I had. I wanted to end the type of relationships I was gaining. I wanted to stop the type of shows I was working. And I didn't know how because I felt comfortable as well. If I had to, I felt comfortable in the chaos. So my master teacher found me and gave me tools of how to get out of myself. I literally had to choose to either, I tell people you have knowledge, and then if you apply the knowledge is wisdom. So knowledge is knowing right from wrong. Wisdom is applying the right from wrong. So now that I'm gaining the knowledge, I'm not applying the wisdom and I still get some outcomes in life that's not good. So then I apply the knowledge and I'm starting to live, a little more peaceful life and I'm a little more happy. I'm like, oh, this works. Oh, I want to stay like this, So
right.
I was kind of yanked out of myself, if I had to tell you the truth. Like I was yanked out of myself. I tell people God is going to yank you out of yourself until you get the point that He's trying to transform you to the intention. He's going to keep triggering you. He's gonna keep conflicting you, but you're not going to die. That's one thing that he's not going to die. But instead of me keep going through destruction, I tried to figure out the lesson. Once I realized that every day is a lesson to be learned from my master teacher, I wanted to know what the lesson was. So she kind of, once you transform your mind, transform your life, it shifts your life. So
Mm.
I had to go through a transformational thinking. I had to unlearn that I had to go through chaos. I had to
Right.
unlearn that I had to be in toxic relationships because if I had to be honest with you, myself, I had never had peaceful ones. So it kind of had a safety. Like if we didn't argue, do you
Right.
really love me?
Like, you don't love
Do
me.
you really love me? No, that's
Right.
not love. I had to unlearn that. I'm sitting up here, you unbothered, that, but that's what you want. That's what God wants, unbothered communication. Like,
Listen,
we do
okay.
not need jailbird communications, like,
Listen.
Jesus, people. So now that I got the knowledge, I just had to apply it. But to tell truth, I went through some life. I had to get fired. I went through some terminations. I went through some breakups. And after you get through, you're like, and you begin, I'm like, okay, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm gonna sit still until I get the secret because I know like this is not the intention of life. Look at all them happy people on Instagram. Like,
Listen.
Not on Instagram.
I tell people all the time that it's like I went through boot camp. It was like every time I turned around with somebody that was married coming talking to me about just married. I'm like, what? What the hell? What's going on? But it was I had never really seen a great marriage.
yeah, yeah.
My mom, I had never seen. So in the love department, that was my struggle a lot. And feeling loved and different things because I felt abandoned. I felt abandonment from family, just all of that. And people say that I moved here running away from home because I was like, well, I live in Dallas, but I'm from New Orleans. And people are like, you just ran away from home. You never want to come home, come back and different things. And I'm like, I just don't like going to New Orleans, to be honest with you. I told my brother that this morning, just a few minutes ago. I was like, I just don't. But you're right. It's like once you face it, you be like, all these happy people, like these people got some joy. And it's a walking thing because that familiar feels so good. And you're like, I know what to expect when I walk this familiar. It's this new stuff. I don't know what to expect really. But
let me tell you the secret about love now. It's the weirdest secret because your cup has to be filled and overflow. So I realized that I love people with the intention of how I wanted to be loved. So everything I gave was how I wanted to be treated. And I told myself, well, if you just treat yourself like this, you won't look for nobody else to treat you like this. Therefore, you're already happy. And you can walk into a situation happy. Therefore, you don't need anything from them. So what they're willing to give you, if their overflow is enough, you take it. If it's not, walk away because you know your reciprocation. Because I know my overflow is enough. I know my overflow is enough because I love me perfectly. And when you think about your exes and everything you went through, you love people the way you naturally want to be loved. So if you just transition that love and reflect it on you, that's why they call it self-love. You realize you never did nothing wrong but be yourself. You just gave it to the wrong person. Now I'm not gonna give it away no more. Like I'm not gonna give it away. Like I'm gonna overflow it, but I would never give it away. And that's the secret to having a foundation to a good relationship. You're never going to give away the love you taught yourself belongs to you. But I know how to love. I love hard. You know what I'm saying? So I know how to overflow. So now I teach myself, hey, you know how to love. So you don't have to teach somebody that you know how to love them. They got to teach you. The same way they want to be worked for, you got to be worked for. Why? Because if you reciprocate each other, it's an explosion. But if one person working for one thing and the other one ain't working, it's an unbalanced situation. And they ain't trying to walk into an unbalanced relationship anyway. So I started to declare what I want at the beginning. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, this is what I want. I'm not, because I've been through enough hell, and I know when my shadow creeps up. My shadow creeps up when I feel unloved in relationships. So now I'm out here arguing. My shadow creeps up when you make me feel abandoned. My shadow when you trigger me. If you get what I'm saying. So instead of feeling like that, why am I about to put myself in a situation to feel like that when I don't feel like that alone?
Right.
I'm good. I feel perfectly fine alone. So if I put somebody else in this alone circle and my alone circle is peace, we're going to have a tad bit of chaos, but our peace got to be magnificent together. Because I tried hard for this peace. I had some toxic relationships. I tried hard for this peace, man. I can't give it away. Okay.
You're in competition with my
there's peaceful people out there who just want peace, man. Nobody got time for rah-rah. I tell my friends, I'm like, yo, you do not have to argue every day. They taught you that. You can literally talk to each other. Like, Like people, they people really don't have a happy relationship. Yeah, no, like they really do. Like they know how to talk to each other in a respectful way. That's why they happy. And when they go get mad, they just go to the next room. But it ain't no calling each other out the names. You ain't throwing bottles. You ain't blowing up the phone, throwing phones. You ain't got to get that far. Grow up, have a conversation, move on.
Right.
Like real love is this, and I'm perfectly fine with it. And now you know you are loved. Be patient enough to get reciprocated for real.
Right.
Like don't rush it because you know how you love you gave it to the wrong person in your past. You don't
Right.
want to do that. You don't want to do that again. You want to do that.
Like I say, you in competition with my piece. So baby, if that's ain't what it
Yeah,
is,
peace is my priority now. Like I know how to love. Peace is my priority. The question is, do you know how to love me?
right.
I'm a prize. I'm a
Well,
prize.
you have given us
You a
so
prize. Like if I like you, you a prize regardless. Because prize only like prizes. But do you recognize I'm a prize? That's the question. I know you a prize. Do you recognize I'm a prize? You know what I'm
listen,
saying?
and you're gonna have to treat me like I'm a prize.
You know, you know, you know. Well, on my origin, a little bit. I'm the male energy on my side because I do like girls, so I do put in a tad bit more effort
Okay.
to teach women that they're worth being worked for and courted. And I was raised by a king. So when I realized I wasn't going to go to hell for still liking girls, and I kept praying, I continued. And me having the male energy, still I do put in a tad bit of more work. I do
Okay.
like to be reciprocated, but I also tell the woman that you have to learn how to be earned because you are the foundation of the household. You're not just a trophy. A rich man finds trophies. That's why they don't care about you having ambition. But
Girl,
a real king is going to want you to have a dream because that's the only way you're going to stay happy. And
you
that's how
better.
you that's how I keep my wife happy if she has a dream.
Oh, you're married.
Because money runs you out. I could put you on planes, but if you bored,
It's funny that you said that because actually Lil Duval just made a post about he was just like, I mean, nah, it's Lil Duval, but just you saying it made me think about the fact that he was like, men with money don't care about women having money or not. They just want to make certain that she has something else to do besides, just run behind them or just, sit around and spend time focused on whatever it is that they're doing. So I totally agree with that. I think that really helps people. You got to have a life of your own. So when you have something else to do, that's how you
it
don't
keeps you
just
happy. What
situation.
you like, your dreams keep you happy. Like
Right.
I don't want you to just be doing hobbies. Like do what you love to do, and it's my job as the partner to help you manifest it into the bigger vision. But stay happy.
You,
Like
you
that's
said
the goal. Stay happy.
you said King wants you to have goals or dreams. Which one? Because girl, I didn't wrote this down.
A king wants you to have a vision.
A vision. See,
Yes, a
it's
king
all
wants you to have a vision.
and you said a king collects trophies.
No, no, men collect trophies.
Men collect. Come on, give it to me slow.
Yes, ma'am. Men collect trophies.
Uh-huh.
Kings enhance visions.
Kings.
And you can hashtag security over intimacy.
Oh,
So
I
'cause that's what I
am.
tell people.
And
Hashtag security over intimacy. So look, little boys look for trophies, little pretty women they can take care of, but they don't want nobody, they don't want you to have speaking up, having a voice, talking back, saying anything. Just be quiet and be my puppet, da 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 da. But a king, he wants you to match the throne. Because you
listen,
taking care of the household, you got the womb that's going to take care of the generation of the next kids. So you have to be protected. So you have to have a vision. Your vision maybe not is not working. Your vision could be for the family. You can have a vision to manifest into generations that hey, I want to make sure that the kids know so a king understands visions because he is a visionary.
girl, listen. I just wrote that down. That's gonna be on my own platforms.
Yeah, so look for yeah. So he'll love when you have a vision, whatever the vision is. That's the difference when you at a date. They'll say, "What you do? What you do?" No, but when they ask, "What is your vision? What is your dreams and aspirations? How can we build a generation together?" Now you're talking to the right man. Now you're talking to the right man. We talk about generations, not time.
Listen, and that's so true because that's what I always say. It's not about the right now. I'm building generational wealth, so I'm right
Yeah.
there with you. So, really quick, tell us a little bit, if you haven't. I just want to make sure that we really step out on your book, Stranded Between Doubt and Faith. What can when they purchase that? I know you said a lot. So the stuff that you said is that in the book, or what's in? Give us a little. Yeah.
The 3 steps of transformation. The first step, the question you ask yourself on your mark, that's in the book. You have some questions like, what are your triggers? Who are you? What are your downfalls? What are aspirations? What are your manifestations and things of that nature? And it makes you question the being, the spirit, so you can really tell yourself the truth. My second book, which will be released next year, called Mental Detox, that introduces the shadow. So
Okay.
the introduction of shadow hasn't really been put out there yet, because my show Transformational Experience on September 24th is going to be the big one. Well, because you see the live, it's really an interview between, it's me interviewing myself, so it's light versus shadow, which give people a clear understanding, like you said, of shadow work, of what is shadow work and what exactly do you deal with. So by the time I release the book, they already know who shadow is. So you have to, I wanted to, slowly but surely bring the audience up with me, so I just don't hit them with too much knowledge, because you got to comprehend. It's not, you just can't listen, you have to comprehend. So Stranded Between Down in Faith, every is at Barnes and Nobles, is at Borders,
Okay.
digital platforms, Amazon, Google Books, Apple Books. By the grace of God, I didn't even know it was on all these platforms. Uh, whew. It tripped me out. So like, I saw my book in Barnes and Nobles, I almost flipped out. I was like, "Oh my God!" So it's on the bookshelf. Go and pick it up.
So
And the
tell me
audio book is also coming out on September 24th as well, with the event.
the event. Where can they find you?
The event I'm going to start selling tickets August 1st. So you'll see it on my page. Come see me on my page, Instagram, Facebook, my website. The Purpose Near Denise Carson is going to start blasting the event information. I want to do things correctly this time, get my logo trademarked and things of that nature, so I can teach people how to do it correctly before I even promoted it. But if it was up to me, girl, I would have been having promos out there. But
Hey, you gotta do it.
you
Yeah.
gotta put in the paperwork. But yes, August 1st, you'll start seeing the promos. I do have a show. I'm opening up for Dr. Jackie for Married to Medicine this Saturday. So there will be a little promo there. You'll get some flyers and things of
And
that
where's
nature at that brunch. It's a brunch. It's not mine. So
that?
I have to make sure I get you the right information. It's the brunch of that. It's I don't a women's brunch. So I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in Georgia. I'm
Oh.
sorry, I speak so much. I'm sorry. I
No,
hate
no, it's okay. We want to promote what you got going on,
yeah,
so our people
yeah.
know.
If
So
you go to my platforms, I try to promote everybody who allow me to send a message out on their platform. So if you go on my platform, you'll definitely see I put the flyer up.
so her TikTok, Facebook is everything is Denise
So
Carson.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Denise is strolling at the bottom.
I
Carson
see. Look at y'all.
SON. IG is purpose underscore hustler.
Prosperous.
Prosperous. Y'all know how I am.
No, it's cool. Purpose, man. Don't care.
let me
Long care.
say, I will say the
Anywhere.
different word in a minute. Sorry. Is PROS underscore HUSTLER. That's for our audio listeners. So you guys make sure that you contact her. What's the website again?
Oh no, that's cool, because the website under construction. So keep it
Okay.
on. Tell y'all something. This social media, I'm talking to the team. Like, I feel like the website just collected crickets. It's just for like fancy stuff. But this social media stuff is hitting. So I don't know.
Well, some people
Well,
only know that you have a website, and some people don't go on social media.
Yeah, I realized that's what my manager said.
yeah.
Hey,
Everybody,
that's under construction. I'm like, my young millennial self. I
And
don't
you
care.
need a home in case something should happen with your social media accounts. Your website is something that you can control. Plus,
It's gonna be
when
on
people go
tomorrow.
to your social media, they're gonna be looking. That's where you house everything is. So I think that it's good that you have a website. Just
Yeah, I'm gonna get it back up. I
okay.
want the reconstruction, but thank
Working
y'all for that.
hard.
A little motivation. I
I'm
appreciate
working
it.
on mine now, though, sis.
Let me
I'm
tell
working
you, 'cause I
on
put
mine
that
right now
over
because
here working on the show. Like, they say you gotta get a website. I'm like,
because what if I might not want to go to your social media. I might want to be in one spot and learn everything
yeah,
about you.
touche.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm
Is
just
there
saying.
anything that you missed?
No, I feel like I talk a lot for a living. So I hope I didn't talk too much. I hope I said some things that help you out. Reconnect to the intention of why you was created in the first place. Love yourself and believe that you're going to get love, mama. I promise you. As far as fancy with the shadow work, I'm happy that I introduced you to the 3 steps. Use your 3 steps of transformation and know that you are good enough. You don't have anything to worry about. The hardest thing is unlearning that you
Right.
had to go through hell and you had to survive and you had to work for things that you already have possession of. That's the hardest thing is unlearning it. Unlearning how to worry, unlearning that you gotta fight, unlearning that you gotta snap on people. You gotta unlearn that and really realize you can move in happiness and peace. Learn that you can move in happiness and peace. That's Oprah Winfrey's secret. Her secret is the key to winning in life is staying happy. And the key is staying happy is having the right relationships and the right connections.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, people don't believe that you're supposed to be happy. We
Yeah.
was taught ourselves that we have to go through storms.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
It's a lie. It's supposed to have more sunshine than rain. It's impossible for it to rain 365 days in our life. We trained ourselves for it to rain 365 days in our life.
Right.
Now
So
that's
train yourself to see the rainbow every day and watch how powerful that is.
I love that.
Well, we shall see you later. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ladies. You are appreciated.
Peace and blessings.
Bye bye.
All right.
That was good. That was good. She just reminded me because even though you've done the work, you do the work and everything, it's like when you're going through certain situations and something start feeling familiar, you want to revert back to that old way of doing things. And Anisha was like, Anya, you doing it. And now I'm at a point, I met this guy and I'm just like, I don't want to go back through that same cycle, that same cycle that I'm used to doing. Something has to give. I have to do something different. So she just reminded me of that and everything. So wanted to shout out, hey Brandy, I see that you said laugh a lot. I guess you was talking about Mr. Curtis and Tyrone. Enrique, good night to you too. And a Price. I think I mess up her name every time.
My sister. Hey, I hope you're
Girl.
feeling
I think I messed that up every week. I'm sorry, girl. When I see you, just hug me. Don't don't beat me. Be like you the best of my name. And you have anything? Any closing?
No, just our plugs.
You can find me on. You can find my link tree, Lady with an I CEO on all I think on all platforms is basically Lady CEO. Clubhouse, I am Lady CEO. If you need to get in touch with me, email. It is Arnya ARNYA .Lady CEO. If you're trying to if you would like to be a guest, you have a topic, any suggestions, you can always email us at theoriesandthoughts@ladyceo.com. Remember, we are still looking for sponsors of the different segments of the podcast and commercial sponsors for the talk show because season 2 is already in the can. We're working on post-production. And hey, if you want your more eyes on your brand, this is the time to get in with us. We have a package that's as low as $100. How fancy?
Right. And also, don't forget to check us out on the Exposure TV Network app, the Theories and Thoughts Deep Dive. And you can find it under, if you look at lifestyle. So we're like within that first row of shows. So we invite you all to check us out. So far, the views have been doing like steadily increasing. So I'm like, that's a good thing. And if you haven't already, we ask that you tell a friend, do you know to tell a friend. So
hey, that part.
And you all can find me on all platforms as Fancy Swagger. Of course, you can visit the website at swagger.net, and then all of the Swagger's platforms or social media is Swagger Magazine. And I'm on Clubhouse as well as Fancy Swagger. And I've been trying to get back on there. So I've been in a few rooms as of late.
I seen you. I seen you in some rooms. My friend Jonathan, shout out to him. He be in all kinds of rooms, and I just go in there and listen for a little bit, then I get out. Special thanks to Denise. She gave us a lot of gems, some things, sometimes you just need a reminder, to be honest with you. Sometimes you just need a reminder of things that you should be doing or not to go back to that familiar. So that was dope. So that's all from us. We're going to holler at you a little bit later. Bye.
Peace and blessings.